This weekend, Strange World, a new movie from Walt Disney Animation Studios, has opened at the box office. Unlike previous Disney Animation Studios titles, the movie had barely been promoted, the few released images and clips appeared familiar in content, and no reviews had been published up to its release. Although the Thanksgiving weekend used to be a big opening weekend for Disney, Strange World bombed. Walt Disney Animation Studios have delivered acclaimed and beloved movies unlike almost any other studio. Among others, we got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, The Jungle Book, 101 Dalmatians, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Mulan, The Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Frozen, Zootopia, Moana, and Frozen 2. And now Strange World has monetarily opened at a fraction of previous releases and got mixed critical and audience response. Simply said, the movie did not connect with the audience. Across 5 areas, I will compare previous Disney Animation Studios releases with recent ones. And I will make suggestions what changes could help them reaching former success again. Please enjoy. What is making a character interesting and watchable, especially for very young audiences? Successful Disney movies had protagonists on a journey, who were pursuing a dream, and they had to face charismatic and resourceful villains and were accompanied by entertaining and adorable sidekicks. It has been said that in latest Disney releases, focus on representation and messaging is greater than on character motivation. I would argue that representation has always been in focus in Disney movies, and a factor for their success. Looking back to its origins, there was Snow White in the forest with some dwarfs. There was something for everyone to pick in that movie. Or take Bambi, not really a brave character. Bambi found its way and destiny throughout the movie and became a beautiful stag. Very symbolic if movies can use animals as protagonists. Cinderella, an underdog story. She got the chance to dance with the prince, and he fell in love with her because of her personality. That is what made her likable. It wasn't her dress, it was herself. The Jungle Book, a boy searching for where he belongs and facing many temptations along his journey. Mowgli truly was an exotic character at that time. The Little Mermaid, trading in her voice for being on land with the prince. She gave it all and she eventually succeeded and kept her voice. Beauty and the Beast, Belle wanting to explore the world, breaking out of an environment stuck in traditions. Barely out of her village, Belle is held captive by the beast, which behaves pretty intimidating in the beginning, but she wins the beast over through her kindness and charm. Aladdin, a thief, finds a magic lamp and wants to become more, but eventually it is not the wishes that make him win the prince's love, it is himself once he finds his courage and lets go of its tricks. The Lion King, a legacy story. Legacy is not a bad thing, but one has to fight for one's place. A kingdom will not fall into one's paws or laps. Pocahontas, a Native American, shows a European the wonders of nature and romances with him. Mulan, a growing up story. Nothing comes for free, but with dedication one can achieve greatness. The Princess and the Frog, one can find beauty and love even in ugly things. It was that simple and genius. Altogether, the representative characters had strong motivations. Overarching topics were the frame for the character journey and development. Representation was handled with elegance throughout many decades. And now compare with, for example, Encanto, a rather special setting. Not the best start to reach a wide audience when compared with previous successes. And the character's issue is that she does not feel special enough. In contrast to the successful movies, here a character is occupied with its inside rather than pursuing a bigger dream on a journey. Not compelling. But what is often unmentioned, also many older Disney Animation Studios movies fail to reach a wide audience. Take Atlantis, for example, or The Treasure Planet. In those movies, the multinational characters were part of an adventure story, not universal enough. My first advice to Disney Animation Studios is, make your characters dream bigger. Give them something hard to reach. Let them fight for their dream. Send them on a difficult journey. Audiences want to see inspiring, brave characters. And Disney, stick to relatable and universal settings. In the past, Disney was very good in finding representation through common denominators, like dreams and feelings. Now they search for representation by highlighting group after group after group. which eventually lacks a mass appeal. Therefore, maybe use animals as protagonists instead. Disney has made classic movies based on classic stories, be it fairy tales, fables, or sagas. When the parental generation of today harks back to the good old times, I admit that Disney had a fantastic run when today's parents were small kids and young teens. The box office, here adjusted for inflation, was massive in that period. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King were all massive hits, followed by some weaker releases by the studio. Can you name a couple of releases between 2000 and 2010 which were huge hits and became culturally embedded? I think Disney today has difficulties in consistently finding rich source material. And there are also other animation studios and live action movies even at Disney competing for source material and having the muscles to create good products. My advice for getting back into profit territory: find good source material. Disney is kind of doing it with their live action movies by remaking their animated movies. I would say they just make live action adaptations of old fairy tales they also had made an animated movie about previously. Is there source material left to work with? How about a funny little Red Riding Hood adaptation with an overly strong and ambitious Red Riding and an anxious vegetarian wolf and good songs? Disney is getting a lot of criticism for poor writing. What is meant by that? Firstly, the characters are not developing clearly throughout the story. Secondly, the movie is packed with messages and misses out on story. Thirdly, the story is poorly presented, boring, and more time is used for exposition than for action. More time? So. How about this? Instead of adding content to fill runtime, make shorter movies again. Ever thought of that? The runtime of Disney's animated movies has increased. Here's a graph I've made which shows the runtime of Walt Disney Animation Studios releases from the 1930s to present. The list is incomplete, but the trend is obvious. The movies have become too long for what they have to say. How did Disney in the past stretch simple stories over a whole movie? By slowly moving characters, by funny character interaction, by singing and dancing. Any idea how much in the movies was filled with singing and dancing? More than 20%. If a story is clear, simple, and mass appealing, especially towards a very young audience, then there remains only that much action and development one can lend to a character. With less singing, less dancing, and faster, almost hectic moving characters, one needs to fill a lot of runtime with stuff. And then the writers need to pull that off. And when there's less solid source material to work with, the writers need to be even better. My advice to Disney: make shorter movies. That helps you focusing on the story, on simplicity, and it will save you money as well. The attention span of a 6-year-old is only 12 to 18 minutes. At home, 6-year-olds can press pause on the movie screen and do something else for a while. In a movie theater, they have to sit through the movie. And a 105 minutes movie with buying tickets, snacks, commercials, and so on easily becomes 2.5 hours long. That is a lot for young audiences, and also for busy parents, especially when the movie is boring. I will make this one short. The animations have become generic. I'm confused how similar the protagonists of different movies look. Brown hair, big ears, knobbly noses. What is it with these noses? Who has such a nose? They are out of proportion. Before I go on a rant, my advice to Disney: put more effort into creating distinguishable, attractive, and unique looking characters. A good example is the Frozen ensemble. The characters looked fresh, pretty, memorable. That is the way to make children cheer and to sell toys and other merchandise products. How many animated movies were released in, let's say, 1992? That is the year Aladdin came out. Any guess? Worldwide, it were 33 theatrical releases. And in 2018, it were more than 140. Then add streaming and video sales to it. Here Disney even competes against its own animated releases. And there's only that much money and time one can watch new movies. Although from a consumer's point of view, competition is definitely welcome. One should not forget that before not so long, they were almost alone in their segment. Therefore, if you are on a lonely island and want ice cream, vanilla will do it for you more likely than if you are in a shopping mall where you can choose from dozens of ice cream booths and sorts. What could Disney do against the competition? Very basic. They could check out and analyze why the competitors are successful. The Despicable Me and Minions movies are simple, entertaining movies built around reoccurring likable characters. It was the same for Ice Age. These movies are also made on a smaller budget. That does not only give them a cheaper look compared to the Disney movies. I tend to say they look more goofy and funny, and by that more appealing for children. A 6-year-old comes for fun and laughs to the cinema. This little fellow will not count the dots on a coral or be amazed by the way a hair moves in the wind. And if a movie contains songs, it have to be memorable sing-along songs like in Sing or of course Frozen. Mediocre songs are just boring for kids and parents alike. Summing up, in order to compete successfully in a crowded animated movies market, Disney could firstly include clearly motivated characters in its movies. No small personal problems to solve. Dream big. Secondly, find good source material. Go back to adapting old and proven stories. There are reasons why fairy tales and sagas have been retold for centuries. They entertain. Thirdly, the writing needs to become sharper. As simple support to that, make shorter movies that can entertainingly present a story. And on number 4, I say it as clear as I can, create more appealing and memorable characters. Good looks matter. Finally, get on the ground and check out competition. There you will find the old Disney formula executed to near perfection. I'm sure Walt Disney Animation Studios will rather sooner than later release mass appealing, entertaining and charming movies again. Because weak faces at the box office are nothing new for them, and big hits are no guarantee. Disney themselves will not be satisfied with their current performance. They will analyze the situation and get back on track. Money talks. It may not be visible at the moment, but I have little doubt about it. Thank you for listening, and let's meet again.